It is not a throwback. It is we are live. We're in the flesh, but we are on the road. You know what I'm saying? We are in Los Angeles, but we wanted to do a show this week. We initially was not going to do a show, just because of what transpired. We felt the need to do a show, and so we're here. What's up? My name is Jasiri X. I'm co-founder and CEO of One Hood Media, and on the screen to my right, left. Oh, we don't have the sound effects. Miracle, did you want to go? Usually it's Miracle.
It's your girl, Big Blessings with the Big Blessings, AKA Black AF. I'm just here representing for my people and having a good time. Just, not giving into bullying or
good, very good. Don't let him bully you. Don't let him bully you from his hotel room. And my brother, the shaman.
Next level shaman. Treble never like supremacy. I'm still here in Pittsburgh, but
It looks like there's like a literal angel in the corner, like looking over you. It's like a little angel over your shoulder.
Hey, what can I say? I'm protected. You know what I'm saying?
That's the shaman.
Yes.
And last but not least,
man, Sugarfoot Saeed, aka Gerard Jelly, the candy man.
You're gonna have to run a fair one. You're just gonna have literally, you're just gonna have to run him a fair one, and that's it. That's all I can say.
Oh my God!
I just hope you didn't eat that chocolate last night, man.
Oh,
I did.
I mean, you had No, I didn't partake of the chocolate, but Miracle got a cheesecake that was like amazing.
Best cake I've ever had.
Okay.
Yeah, amazing cake I've ever had.
I've heard that before, but still.
Yeah, we wanted to do a episode because of the events that just took place. We talked a little bit about it last week, but we heard all last week that this video was coming out. The officers, before the video even came out, the officers were fired. They were charged, the 5 black officers. The video was finally released. I didn't watch the video. I don't know if any of you all chose to watch the video. I'm done, watching black people being brutalized. I thought it was dope. Miracle, through Brunch with a Black Man, you shared a lot of, mental health information for folks if you choose or not choose to watch the video. A lot of times when these moments happen, it is very traumatic for, our communities in general. It's also very traumatic for families that have lost their loved ones to police violence, as well. And it kind of created this whole, I think that it was purposeful that they released the video on a Friday night. It was similar to, for those in Pittsburgh that remember the verdict for Antoine Rose when the officer was found not guilty was also on a Friday night. A lot of times when they release stuff on a Friday night, it's meant to not be in the traditional news cycle. It's meant to kind of, bury it in a sense. It's also meant to have protests that not disrupt the normal business times of Monday through Friday. So that was very purposeful. And then, we kind of got the, similar, statements that oftentimes were, just words, but, no real deeds. We didn't hear anybody talking about real police reforms. We didn't hear anybody talking about less money to police departments. There was a statement from President Biden and many other Democrats and Republicans about how horrified they were, sorry they were, but we're at a point now where we know, at least I don't think it will lead to any real police reforms. Just wanted to get you all's initial reaction to, the video being released and the conversation around it.
My first reaction is this is proof, if we ever needed more proof, that all skin folk ain't kinfolk, and that the police are a violent institution no matter the skin color. You know what I'm saying? Because a lot of people think that representation in the police force is somehow going to magically fix the racism and brutality, but as we can see, that does nothing at all whatsoever.
1,000%. I mean, excellent. 1,000%. Miracle?
To me, this was something that was very uncomfortable just because of the way there was a whole countdown till like the video was happening.
True,
Like
that was
coming
weird.
Wednesday, it's coming Thursday. It's not coming Thursday, it's coming Friday. And it almost made it seem like it was entertainment. Like what's gonna be on the video? What's gonna be the thing that breaks everybody? What's going to be the thing that enrages everybody? And it was to juxtapose this with prior video releases, it was almost done as a way to force people to have reactions. The police, came out and said something. The chief came out and said of videos. Then they announced the arrest, and it was just to me almost seeing how much of a joke a Black life is. Because at first I was like, okay, this is clear communication. This is great. But then every day, it was just like every day at 3:00, we're having a new drop. And it made me very uncomfortable with the idea that fighting for transparency and accountability became like media fodder and like not taking into account the fact that Tyre had a life. Tyre was a father, a brother, a son, an artist. He was someone that people loved, and he was someone who was brutalized unnecessarily. And it took away from that. And then when we found out how horrible this department was, how horrible this chief was, it even made it that more vicious and vindictive, in my opinion.
Every day it was another prep for it. And this is going to happen. And the chief of the Memphis Police Department actually was doing interviews, and at a lot of places and points, people were like giving her credit. Oh, the police officers were fired. Oh, they charged the officers. But then we found out that she was the one that actually started the Scorpion unit, despite the fact that when she ran the police department in Atlanta, she started a similar unit that had to be disbanded for similar circumstances that this unit now had to be disbanded. And so it was something really, really wild to see, like this, almost like a marketing rollout. I think one of the things that, I saw people share, video of Tyre that was powerful, and him as a photographer. I saw somebody like share his photography. But like you said, that wasn't, once the video comes out, it overshadows really all of that. And you roll it out in a way that, this video kind of overshadows like who he was, his life, the joy he brought to other people's lives, and how he interacted with folks. Farouk?
Yeah, I mean, I'm not gonna say anything that hasn't already been said at this point. That was the one thing I was gonna say is like, it was like a rollout for a snuff film.
True.
And I feel like it was done in like, to me, releases like this, they're done deliberately, right? It's almost like a provocation of sorts. It's like a display of power. And like anecdotally, like for me, all the experiences that I've had with Black cops have not been great. They've been like my most kind of like, contentious run-ins with police have been with officers that look like me. And with this particular case, for this to be in this era right now, right before Black History Month, this is kind of like what we're walking into, and it's really, it's a heavy topic, but it just further substantiates the fact that, this policing system is inherently wicked, it's insidious, it's violent, it's anti-Black, but also the conversation that's trying to be spun that this is Black on Black violence and doesn't need to be treated as an issue of white supremacy is not only disgusting, but it's dismissive. You can like, like it doesn't matter what the color of the officer is. And James Baldwin famously wrote in, a report from an occupied territory, a white officer was the preferable one to be called if you had to call the police. Like a Black officer was going to be the one that's coming there and fuck you up, because his whole existence, like, yo, I'm Black, but I'm not Black like you, nigga. And I'll take this nightclub or these tasers, whatever I got for you. You get me?
I mean, people shared the clip from Boys in the Hood, which I think came out like 1991, where it was the Black officer.
Black.
Right. The black officer coming at, and then you had shared a meme that somebody put that I thought was very insightful, where somebody asked, "Can somebody explain logically how 5 black officers killing a black man is white supremacy?" And the response was, "If my black ass makes a taco, does it stop being Mexican food?" And so the fact that like black people did it doesn't mean that it doesn't represent white supremacy. And I thought like this we had talked a little bit about it. This article by Derica Purnell also I thought was very powerful, where she talked about like all of these reforms that a lot of people, when they talk about reforming the police, suggest that they will save our lives, were present, right? She had a tweet that went out that said all of the reforms failed at the same time. Black cops, body cameras, multiple cops on the scene, tasers instead of guns. So how is more reform the answer? Right. So all of these things that they said will prevent, and we have people here in Pittsburgh that are like, oh, we just need more black cops. Oh, we just need, we had, a Jim Rogers tased to death in Pittsburgh at the end of 2021. And so, right. So we've seen these things happen. Right. We've seen, and it was a black officer that led, the murder of Jim Gray. That was the first officer that began to tase Jim Rogers. And so that, I think that's the question. I mean, to like, being that we're in this moment, I'm coming to you, Miracle, that, I mean, there isn't a real, like, this happened is, everybody talked about how crazy it was, how violent the video was, but we don't have any like response to like real police reform. So for those of us that are doing this work, like, what do we do in this moment? If something this horrible doesn't lead to police reform, then are we just doomed?
No, I think a part of it is people not wanting to be like, I told you so, right? Because for those of us who've done this work, we've told people that these police reforms are not going to stop police death.
True.
We've talked about less lethal munitions still being lethal and still causing issues, here in the city of Pittsburgh and even in the county of Allegheny. We tried to get a lot of these weapons banned from police officers because we kept saying these are going to cause death. These are something that are going to harm our communities, and people did not listen. So a part of it is the exasperation of like, we've told you so, we told you so, we told you so, and you're still not listening to us, right? This is also coming still in the midst of Cop City being built.
True.
And elected officials saying, we hear you saying that this police training doesn't stop violence, but we're going to have this Cop City built regardless. And so a lot of us are trying to reassess the ways we are engaging these systems, way that we are engaging these people. And I think we're coming up against the last bit of patience that people really have for these politicians. And we've seen so much aggression and acceleration against communities that I think the logical next step is to go back to pushing that defunding the police was already a compromise.
Right.
And now it's like, okay, now we got to get rid of these cops. We just got to get rid of these officers in our neighborhoods. And what does it look like to have investment in our communities? What does it look like to take back our communities?
Right.
And what does it look like to completely divest from the policing project and narrative in America?
I mean, I think that's where we can go. That's the only way to go. Farouk?
Yeah, Miracle always says something that I've kind of co-opted, but it's such a great statement because it's representation doesn't equal liberation. You know what I mean? Like black cops, black prosecutors, black, it doesn't matter. Like it doesn't, because when you're defending the system and you're working for the system, who's your adversary? It's the people that look like you. You're dispatched to these communities. You're enforcing these communities legislation and these predatory and mandatory minimum shit like that. Like it fucks with us the most, and we don't have a safety from this. Like, what, I'm supposed to fear you less because you look like me? Nah, that's just not how it goes. So this detachment from this police culture, this vile culture, is the only way that we can have like an exodus from this. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, look and see, like, just like you said, black cops, the chief was black. Like, and you're talking about, like you said, I believe the mayor of Memphis is black, the mayor of Atlanta's black, and so just like you said, like but I think the fact that you still, like, despite this, we still want to put $90 million in Cop City to have like cops trained to be more militarized. Like, the fact that like black people would be leading this type of thing is like actually insane to me.
Yeah. Go ahead, Miracle.
And I've always said, Black lives matter, and Black lives do not stop mattering just because the oppressor and the harm doer themselves is in fact Black, right? And I think we've also talked about, when building liberation, are we building liberation because we want our people to be free, or are we building liberation because we ourselves want to be the oppressor? And what we're seeing for a part of people, particularly around a class consciousness, we're seeing a lot of capitalistic Blacks go on and say, we want to be the oppressors. We want to be the ones building Cop City. We want to be the ones building the gentrification that forces poor Black people out of our neighborhoods. We want to be the people who are harming poor and working class Black people because we have this utopia of Black success, Black capitalists, and Black elites. And we really have to have a conversation that not all, kin folks are skin folk, right? Not all, kin folks are skin folk. Kinfolk. And we have to really push that because we're starting to see an intersectional group of people building oppression. We have George Santos being a Black, indigenous, queer, Jewish, person who is also an avid white supremacist.
Is it really that?
And being an anti-immigrant, It's just like we're now having all people's identities now being used to weaponize oppression.
Excellent point.
Right? You have a DeSantis pushing against like Black people. You have, and we're also starting to see a lot of queer people being white supremacists, a lot of people from, South Latin America coming and being white supremacists. And so we really have to have a conversation about what does it mean to build liberation for the sake of liberation, and not building liberation to take on the mantle of an oppressor and harm other folks.
Excellent. Well, one of the things that came, I guess one of the, I don't even want to say good things, but one of the things that came out of the release of the video is that, the Twitter detective agency, which kind of remains undefeated, they saw a hand, and that was not a Black hand. That was a white hand. And so it started a conversation of, we didn't see no white mugshots. We saw the blame put on, and this is another thing where white supremacy functions, even in the case of these 5 police officers that should be in prison, right? That there were more than 5 police officers on the scene. There were multiple police officers on the scene, and one of the people that tased Tyre was a white police officer. So Twitter went to work and said, who is this white officer, and why haven't we seen his mugshot, or he hasn't been fired? So it turns out this white officer is named Preston Hempfield. He is a Memphis police officer who not only tased Tyre Nichols, he also said that he hoped officers would stomp his ass. We don't know if he also participated in the stomping, but now, he had not been fired. He had not been suspended. Now we're hearing this white officer has been relieved of duty. We don't know at this point if he will be charged alongside these Black officers. So what do you all think of the fact? Then there were some sheriff deputies that were also fired. There were some EMS people who did not provide any type of assistance, emergency assistance to Tyre, were also fired. But what do you all think of the fact that this white officer, really skated, if it wasn't for, kind of people on Twitter pointing out, maybe if he wore some gloves, he might have been all right, I guess. I don't know.
Sounds about white.
Right. And I think, again, I haven't watched the video. I've watched readouts
Me too.
and people talking about different parts of the video. From my understanding, he even said, "I hope they stomp
Yeah,
his
stomp his ass. Yeah.
or, some type of wish of violence." And I think that is even one of the most and useful pieces of evidence talking about the culture and the pattern or practice of these Memphis officers and the Scorpion team, right? When I was, and I said this before, when I was interning at the public defender's office, we would always know that if the police officer said, "I feared for my life," or the person escaped and emphasized an escape, we knew that they had beat the defendant. We knew that we expected there would be bruises or some type of scuffle on the defendant. And a part of this whole video, and we haven't really talked about it too much, is that all of those officers giving, I think it was like 70 commands within like a 13-minute time span, and all of those officers telling contradictory commands is something that is trained. When we're talking about why we don't need this cop city facility being built, it's because now we're training officers how to escape justice when they have their body cameras on and do it instinctively. There was someone who tweeted out, as an officer, "I'm told to start yelling commands because witnesses will only remember that they heard me say commands. They'll forget what they actually saw, regardless of how the individual did or did not comply." And that is what I'm trained to do as an officer. That is something that we really have to do a lot of education and media literacy around, because these officers are being taught how to kill, how to hurt community, and how to get away with it. And we saw it with Tyre, and next time we're not going to see it because they're going to be trained again how to do the same exact thing, but make it look like the person is not complying. Because if you read the police report, they said that Tyre was aggressive. They said that Tyre was reaching for a weapon and that Tyre was fighting them. None of that was true, right? And we know that police lie in these reports. And now we're seeing not only do they lie on these reports, that they all work together succinctly to make sure they're all protected from any type of investigation. And we need to start seeing it as police being trained to harm and evade accountability, instead of saying, "Oh, wow, this is very weird. They didn't all say the same
Right.
thing."
And
No, they're being
go ahead, Fruit.
Now they're being charged with second degree murder and kidnapping, right? Or is that's just a list of the charges that are up there, correct?
Miracle.
They're being charged with a bunch of things, and that is on there. I would argue they should also be charged with felony murder, because of moving him. I would also argue there should be conspiracy as well, based on the stomp his ass. That was, if not conspiracy to commit murder, conspiracy to cause severe bodily harm. And I would also, like, all of the assault, battery, lying, all type of things that they've done. In addition to being terminated, I think that the rest of the officers on the ground should also be charged. The EMT should be charged, and EMT should have their licenses revoked from their failure to act and their failure to intervene. I know that Benjamin Crump, to your point, Jasiri, has said now we need to pass a law saying that officers must intervene when their fellow officer is behaving badly. But I think we also need to pass a law that says that when it is an unjust or unlawful arrest, when the police are too aggressive, you also have the right to defend yourself and to flee. I think that's what we need to start passing legislation that puts communities on the offensive, instead of always having to wait till their day in court to defend themselves.
Absolutely.
And you make such a good point. And that's the thing. Like, that officer, Preston, he didn't, and none of those officers, nobody intervened. Nobody said that was enough. Stop. You're hurting this person. You're overstepping. Also all of those people. When if you're in a car, if we're all in a car together and Farouk shoots somebody, I get charged with murder. If I'm in the car, I also get charged with murder. Or if we all go rob somebody and Farouk kills somebody, all of us getting charged with murder. I agree. Everybody on that scene, that, like I said, Preston didn't try to stop. He encouraged more violence against Tyre. He should be charged well. But everybody on that scene that allowed those officers to commit that crime should be charged. And I think another point that you make, Miracle, was I don't believe they had their body cameras on. It was a camera that they put in our communities to watch us, right? It was one of those cameras that's up on the light pole. Yeah. That's the camera that actually caught the crime. You know what I'm saying? There's also, again, I mean, you could also, we're finding out now that even the excuse that they used to pull him over was not was unlawful. So even pulling him over is unlawful. So like you said, everybody should be charged. They all should be charged with it. And again, like you just, like you said, Miracle, police lie. We've seen it over and over. We've seen it in the case of the report they wrote around George Floyd. We've seen it in the report they wrote around Breonna Taylor, where now a federal jury has, that whole warrant was false. And so police lie over and over again and try to cover it up. The question is, like, what will we do? Will we pass any type of legislation? But the idea that we have to pass a law that police have to like stop their own officers from like there's no consciousness or no thinking that if this officer that I'm with is doing a crime, I should stop him, is pretty, indicative of the state we're at of policing, particularly when you look at the fact that last year we set another record of police killing American citizens. And so one of the commentary, or some of the commentary, it was a lot of commentary on Tyre Nichols, but leave it to Fox News and Tucker Carlson to try to find the most coonish of coon Negroes. And
Jason White,
right? That's his new name. I'm calling him that from now on, Jason Whitelock. And they went and found Jason Whitelock, who was let go. I think he was on ESPN. They got rid of him. He was on Fox Sports. They got rid of him. You know what I'm saying? Now he's going to pop up, and so his response was that this was due to single Black mothers. And again, it's like, leave it to some, pork chop eating nigga. I want to really go in on this too. I'm sorry, but you
say it was the swine.
Yeah, it was the swine got into his eyes and his mind. But leave it to him, one, to try to blame. But one, you're going to blame a black women for this, right? You're going to blame women for this crime. But the idea that this was because these men had a Black woman police chief and therefore they weren't controlled enough, and this is why this happened. Any comments? And we don't want to. I mean, you can go listen to what he has to say, but why? Why would you? Why would you waste your time listening to Whitelock? Any commentary on Jason Whitelock? Anybody?
Yeah, man. It's like first Black women pull us up and do all the work, and now they're being faulted for the decisions that grown Black men in uniform made of their own accord.
And it's always a dude who, Black women wouldn't touch. It's always dudes that probably ain't never was able to pull a Black woman in his life that comes out of his mouth like that. Miracle, you were saying something about Jason Whitelock?
I feel like, where's Will Smith when you need him, right? But
smack fire on that nigga.
Listen, this week has been especially hard for Palestinian and Black women who have been held responsible for the actions of men, and this situation. Tyre had a Black father who was active in his life. These officers were Black college-educated individuals who decided to be vile because of the system of policing they willingly participated. None of this is the fault of single Black women, right? Of all the things, I would have preferred a Twinkie defense. I would have preferred, they must have got the COVID jab defense. Why in the world are you, as a Black man, going onto a white media conservative platform and saying this happened because of single Black mothers. It makes absolutely no sense of all of the conspiracy theories you could have put forth to lay this at the feet of Black women who are bearing the brunt of so much. I think it was because Tyre called for his mother, and just like George Floyd called for his mother. And that is something that has resonated across cultures and barriers, the love that people have for their mothers. And I think Jason was like, let me break this last link of humanity that Tyre has. He's already been devalued and discarded in the media. Let me do this last thing people are using to humanize him and crap on that. And so I don't think Jason was just speaking political talking points. I think he has a ire and a hatred for Black people. And this was his method of doing that, because how dare you blame this on Black mothers? These are grown Black men who did a decision based on the training and the culture they had of their Scorpion unit.
Yeah.
And they killed somebody. And I think one of the most impressing points people have made is that if Tyre would have survived, this would have been just another day at the office. If Tyre would have made it home to his mother's house after they beat him and released him, none of us would be talking about it, because these targeted units beat people every day. These units shoot people every day, and we don't know the names. We barely know the names of people who are killed, right? And so the fact that Jason is willingly doing these dog whistles is just, again, why you have to ask yourself, what type of Black person is your Black friend, and what type of Black people are you allowing within your community spaces?
Yeah, he should
and then
have
another
no
thing,
Black friends at all. Like, if you're a Black person and you friends with Jason Whitlock, you're guilty by association.
Facts. And one thing that I found scary about something that you mentioned is the fact that, like, when you think about it, other police forces, and maybe even this same police force, are not going to look at this incident and think this is a problem with policing and policy in America. They're going to think this is a problem with the training. We need to train these dudes better to do this more under wraps or more discreetly and actually make it look like it benefits you and it falls in your favor. You know what I'm saying? And it reminds us, this is something that we say a lot, but I don't think people truly understand that the police are a gang. It is the fraternal order of the police. They are trained to work together and make sure that nobody crosses that blue line. You know what I'm saying?
I think you make a great point. No, I mean, look at the video. I mean, nothing. If you didn't believe, what you just said, Trouble, nothing else, will convince you. And like you said, it's like, oh, right. That's what people say. Oh, it's more training. No, the system itself is corrupt. But speaking of assessing blame, everybody, one of the questions that came up were, because apparently out of the 5 police officers that were charged, 3 of those officers were member of Omega Psi Phi fraternity. Omega Psi Phi, posted a picture of Tyre, calling for everybody to be held accountable, and instituting, measures of law enforcement. But do they have a responsibility? Now, we're not saying Omega Psi Phi is responsible for anything, but the fact that 3 of the officers supposedly are members of Omega Psi Phi, do they have a responsibility to, I guess, name them dudes, kick them dudes out the fraternity, comment further on it? What do you all think?
They have a responsibility to shift their culture of violence. Because I heard about their hazing practices. It gets violent. So a lot of the people who come out of that, I'm not surprised
Allegedly.
allegedly, I'm not surprised that their minds think in such violent ways because of the things they had to go through to even be part of something like this.
And again, I don't know if that's the case for every campus or everybody that joined Omega Psi Phi. I guess according to some people, and I don't, again, I'm gonna just use the allegedly because I'm gonna go with Miracle said, but I guess one of them, they said, was part of a group that got kicked off of campus because of hazing. So I know that, there's been conversations around hazing, and that's been cut back on, particularly recently because of the light that's on there. But and again, I don't know. I mean, what do y'all think? Do you think that Omega Psi Phi should come out specifically and denounce these men that were supposedly a part of their organization?
Well, I will say the brothers of Omega Psi Phi have always been active in fighting for justice and being based and rooted in community, and are always a lot of times at the front lines advocating for justice. And so because one of the officers actually even had one of the insignias in the video, I think it is really good PR. Bottom line, good PR, but I think it is they have a moral responsibility to disavow the violence that happened in the video. They have a moral responsibility, if they're not going to disassociate from those three men, to really talk about why and how they're going to work to repair the harm that their members have done in the community. And I think they really should talk about and take on healing and anti-violence work. I will say that any organization whose members do something, whether Divine Nine or not, have a responsibility to prove that this is not the type of person that they turn out. And I don't want this to be like, oh, you're just jumping on a Black institution or a Black organization because they're Black. I think we hold the same for any organization. Football player does something, we go to that football player's 100%. Club. When an artist does something, we talk about, the endorsers and the sponsors. So we're holding people to the same standard. But when somebody is wearing, we even have that conversation of like, what happens if somebody commits a crime and they do it in one of the shirts that we have? What happens if somebody harms people? Like, we got screenshots of people wearing like One Hood stuff in their Tinder accounts. Like, what happens if someone uses that and hurts somebody?
Yeah, that was what are you talking about? What? That was your friend. What are you talking about? What? That was your man.
And so we know that
you gotta tell me who.
When you have branding and merchandise, that the benefit is that people love and support you, but the burden is when people do wrong things in your brand, you have a responsibility to deal with it. And so, yeah, I think that the bros are going to have to come a little bit harder. And I know they have the ability and the infrastructure to do so. So it'll be great to see they'll be great to see when they do that.
You use the phrase. You
said
the bras are gonna have to come a little.
It doesn't require pause for Miracles.
The bras are gonna have to come a little harder, Miracle. So that's what caused.
Always bringing joy and laughter to even the most difficult.
No, but I agree, and like I said, Miracle. I mean, if you should have a PR firm. Really, we're going to start the Miracle PR firm because you're amazing at PR, Farouk.
So I'm not pushing back on anything Miracle said because I agree with it, and I've definitely been critical of Black Greeks. You know what I mean, like all of that society as a whole. But like, how many white officers have been involved with fraternities and everything like that, and they've never been? The Fraternal Order of Police never disavows a white officer. You know what I mean? So like, and again, I'm not disagreeing with Miracle, but like, it does seem like this came down on a Black organization because they're Black. Right? It's like, you niggas need to take responsibility for your violent tendencies because you're niggas. And let's just keep it told. Like, this savagery wouldn't have came from a more civilized fraternity. Like, that's the way it seems to me.
See, I don't agree. I think again, what I know of Omega Psi Phi, particularly those in Pittsburgh, they do a lot of great community work. They do the Carter G. Woodson Academy in Pittsburgh. My children have been a part, all of my children. In fact, Najim is going to go to the new one, have been a part of the Carter G. Woodson Academy. It's a Saturday class that teaches consciousness to our children. So to me, I think they set a level of being one of the most visible and vocal organizations in the justice space. No, so I would feel like, just like you said, I'm not saying it because they Black. I'm saying it because the Qs have set a very high precedent as individuals when it comes to being present in a lot of these spaces. You know what I'm saying? Shout out also to the alphas who did a march on Sunday in Pittsburgh. Shout out to them. So that's why I was saying it, not because they're black, but like you said, like Miracle said, here's a black cop that is beating a black man, and he has a bracelet on, an Omega Psi-Phi bracelet on. And so I would want them to disavow it. And I would also say, if in 2023, I know, like, you know, we came up in a different time, you know what I'm saying? And me and Farouk, we talk about this all the time. You know, we was throwing hands. It was fights all the time on a college campus. When I went to University of Maryland, people fought all the time. And it wasn't like, there was no fear of getting expelled. People fought. Like, but if in 2023, there's still hazing going on, or people getting beat to be a part of something. I mean, at this point, all of that should be done over. Every fraternity, I don't care if they black, whatever, it should be like, there's no, we're not going to beat you to be a part of this. I don't care what was done in the past. We got to go somewhere different in the future. So I would want, again, Farouk, as somebody that my family has personally benefited from the community work of Omega Psi-Phi's Pittsburgh chapter, I would want to hear the national Omega Psi-Phi organization say, we do not want, these men are no longer a part of our organization. We disavow this, you know what I'm saying, on GP, and talk about, you know, even, you know, maybe a past history of violence that you talked about, Trouble, and where we want to go as organizations moving forward. And like you said, if they had a One Hood shirt on, shit, we definitely would be like, or a One Hood band around their arm. Nah, man, no, we totally no, hell no. We ain't down with that at all, you know. So yeah. But I feel where you're coming from. I think you make a good point. I think that's all of the, I mean, we probably could talk about Tyre for a minute, but we did have breaking news on our favorite 2023 topic. I know my favorite, at least, which is everything George Santos. If it's George Santos related, I'm there on the front lines. And, you know, it's always, you know, but this time it wasn't another lie. Well, yeah, I mean, it was a lie about, I guess they said he had a treasurer. He did some new campaign reform paperwork and listed a treasurer's name. That treasurer's lawyer, the treasurer's lawyer came out and was like, my client has nothing to do with George Santos. So he doesn't have a treasurer right now, which means he can't raise money. But apparently he decided, I guess it's a question of whether he decided or Kevin McCarthy decided to step down from his committees. Again, there's white supremacy involved in this, for the fact that despite all of his lies, he was able to sit on committee. And at the same time, they're trying to deny Ilhan Omar a committee seat because of supposedly past things that, you know, she did. And this also came in the wake of somebody found some old posts from George Santos that were anti-Semitic, that were praising Hitler. So again, going back to that white supremacy, you know, mindset of somebody, despite being queer, persons of color, embracing white supremacy wholly over their own, experiences, lived experience, or the experience of their ancestors. So what do y'all think? Is this the first step to George getting out of there, or is he going to stay and lie and keep his health care, and we're going to have to deal with this for 2 years?
He hustled his way. He's like a tick, man. He's dug in. He's not going to let something like this strip him from all that shit he scammed for. You know what I mean? Like, this is,
But if every day the media is outside of your office, they're like, asking you questions, it's every day it's something else. Do eventually he just say, you know what, I'm out of here? You're saying no.
No, because he knew what it was he was signing up for. Like, he seemed, to me, he seemed smart enough to know this was part of this. He factored this in.
Everybody finding out every single lie he's ever told, and telling him about it every day. You think he factored that again?
And now, I mean, he's in a place where he can't be voted out, so it's just like, fuck it. You
And
know what I mean?
plus,
Like, I think he has like super villain intelligence, man. Like, this guy definitely was like, oh, this was calculated.
Scamtos?
He was like, yeah, these is like
George Scamtos.
Scamtos.
we got the nicknames on deck. Whitelock and Scamtos. Come on, man. You were saying?
Yeah, and I feel like, I was just gonna say, like, he did all this lying up to this point. I feel like, you know what I'm saying, like, knowing that people know. I feel like at this point he's a professional liar, and he knows that reacting to it is only going to sell the lie, sell the fact that he lied even more. And the fact that he's trying to sell these lies as truth, it's like he's not gonna buckle and fold under this. You know what I'm saying?
Super scammer. Miracle? Is Santos done? Is he?
No, because first of all, people are I give another month or two tops, and the media's gonna move on from him. So he's got to dug it out. But also, part of me, I think he likes the attention, right? He likes the more the media harass him and hound him, the more zero is going to come behind his book deal. We know a book deal's coming. We know a movie's 100%. Coming. We know a documentary's coming.
Spending not on the book, but I will be in line.
TV show's coming. Listen, a musical is probably coming. We know he is set for life. Let's be very honest. He scammed, he hit the jackpot, like he lied and he finessed, and now there's nothing that anybody can do. He is untouchable, right? He did this stuff. Apparently, he for 2 years nothing can happen to him. So he's going to stay there. He's going to stay put. He may not be he's not about to change. He's used to it. He's gone through everything. Right. And if you can look at your partner and propose to them while you're still married and deal with all of that personal backlash, you can deal with a media person yelling at you for 2 or 3 minutes as you walk in the hallway. Trust, this has not been the worst moment of his life. And
like you said, I mean, he's given them donuts, he's giving them Chick-fil-A or whatever. So it's almost like even then.
Listen. Scamtos probably told them niggas they was gonna get Chick-fil-A on a Sunday. He was like, yo, I can make that happen for you. I'm that nigga.
I mean,
I can make that happen for you.
Yeah, I mean, it is fascinating. And you're right. Sadly, you're right, Miracle. I mean, because, he hit the scammer lottery, and because he became, it's like you think about like the Wolf of Wall Street, like, we love a liar. America loves, America loves like a liar, a scammer. You lied and scammed your way to the top. And it's like, you
was re-elected one as president.
100%, Donald Trump. And it's like, we applaud that. It's like, did you make it? Did you make it and get money? Regardless of how you did it, we applaud the fact that you made it. You know what I'm saying? And so you're 100% right. This
is really Donald Trump's doing. Like, 100%. This is done because Trump did this. Like, people are like, yeah, this is a blueprint now. It's something that you can quantify, you can study, you can repeat it.
100%. It is a blueprint.
And now that I'm thinking about it, aren't we still being scammed into thinking that Christopher Columbus was a hero of some sort?
Always, man. Yeah. That's the thing. Like, it's the whole
George Washington never told a lie. Yeah, and that's it. I mean, it's really like, America's scammer's paradise, man. It's like it's like get it how you live. It's like scammer's paradise.
I mean, I kind of like it.
A miracle.
I thought Atlanta was
Oh my God.
You know what? I will say, like Trump, I like Santos scamming because he did it in a way that really didn't harm people, right? Like, nobody died because of Santos. Nobody lost their home because of Santos. And my thing is, if you're gonna scam up, right? I think it gives you scam responsibly. I think it gives you a goal, right? Like, don't be stealing from people's bank accounts. Don't be out here doing stuff that's gonna put you in prison. Scam and you get life insurance, health insurance, $100,000 paycheck guaranteed. Scam up. So you know what? I think it gives my people hope and motivations. And may the best scammer
Well,
win.
so Miracle, just a
Congress,
slight correction.
White House,
Yeah.
Senate, who knows?
Just a slight correction. So he was supposedly involved in this Ponzi scheme company that the SEC shut down.
Oh.
A lot of the people that donate to his campaign feel like he took their money and they scammed, but they probably don't miss that.
But they donated that. They weren't trying to get an
miss that.
investment.
But
you know what I mean? They didn't lose the
he
house.
is under various investigations. Supposedly, the Department of Justice is investigating for him for federal crimes. So there is a possibility he could be charged federally and have to go to prison. But again, if he does go to prison, it ain't gonna be for long. And guess what? That just makes the zeros.
They have a series of courses going in and coming
That just
out.
makes the zeros on the book deal and the movie deal even larger if he goes to prison. So, like you said, Santos is set for life. Well, I guess to close out our day, there were two really big football games this past weekend. And in one football game, there was some controversy over an announcer. Former Dallas Cowboy quarterback Tony Romo was commenting on a particular play. Do you have that? Can you cue that video up, John? And we just want, if you have not seen it, you probably have seen it by now, because it's, that's the one thing about like Black Twitter. The stuff goes around Black Twitter. But if you have not seen Tony Romo's possible Freudian slip or something, can we play that video, John? Look at the YouTube.
The extra yards, the tough yards, the finish on the play. Right there, you got three. You talked about this is the best tackling team. They don't.
It was almost like it was a
game. Again, John.
This giant, this figure. I mean, this guy was just like such a cool moment. Special.
Play that again.
The extra yards, the tough yards, the finish on the play. Right there, you got three.
Hey, yo.
It was almost like you were nervous, like it was a game.
You got three nerves. Oh, shit, I'm on live
TV. This guy was just like such a cool moment. Special.
A little too comfortable.
He said it so casually. I mean, he said it like when he's at home talking amongst the team. Look at these three niggas. Oh, they got some good niggas on their team, man.
Them niggas tackle. Them niggas football. Them is the football playing niggas right there. Like,
should Tony Romo have to make some type of comment before the next game, or what do y'all think? Should we want the cues?
I think he should address it for sure.
He should be like, yo, you know what? I was gonna say niggas, but then I thought it would probably get me fired.
Come on, no, bro. He's not gonna say that. You know what I'm saying? He's gotta say.
Or he could be like, yo, I almost said the N-word, but I'm trying to get that out of my language. Shout out to Papa John.
Papa John.
Yo, real ingredients, real pizza, real niggas. That's Tony right there, man.
Miracle, you have racist rehab. What should Tony Romo do at this point? Should he comment on it? Should he ignore it? What should he do?
He got confused for a second. He forgot where he was, and we don't know. He says three nice gentlemen. He wasn't sure. It was three knights on the field.
Yeah, but
three. What'd you say? What'd you say, Farouk?
Like calling them knighted individuals. Three knights of the round table. I don't know, man. I don't know what the fuck.
Who knows? He could just, he probably won't say anything.
I'm trying to think.
He should apologize just for the conversation, but know that is not in his heart and it's not something he would say on a professional.
Yeah, I think
level.
it would be kind of fun. Not, I mean, maybe not funny, but it would be interesting to say, hey, I heard that. That's not what I was gonna say. Like maybe, but it's not even like, is there what he was the nose tackle? I don't know what even position starts with an N. I don't know, but it would be funny if he kind of referenced it to say, hey, yo. But what if he said it? Does the game just stop? Is it just like Tony Romo's no longer? I mean, it did happen. There was a baseball announcer that got caught on a hot mic referencing, I think, the gay community in a negative way. And they just took his mic and just, he didn't even finish the game. So, well,
all I gotta say is Niggas love slurs.
Well, we're on the road, so we don't have a. I don't think nobody has white pages, right? Is there something that we could suggest people read?
Niggas lack scripture.
Nothing. Just go find a book.
Man,
support a book.
Go man, read something. If you can't read, listen to something.
Got you. And then, do we have any upcoming announcements? Is anything happening?
I'm just trying to see if this.
There's always stuff happening, man.
Look around, follow.
I'm tired.
Yeah, I mean it is, but we do want to, send a special shout out.
I'm so tired right now.
Yeah, we're on West Coast time, but today, Kerry Washington's birthday. Definitely want to say shout out to Kerry Washington. Doing a lot of great work in the community, supporting organizations like One Hood and others all over the country, using her fame and her celebrity to talk about real issues. She actually has a show coming out. I think it's on Hulu, where it's about her father coming back from being formerly incarcerated and the things that family has to do. So I love when people use, pop culture, art culture to talk about these issues, to humanize people that have experienced these things. So shout out to Kerry for doing the great work that she's doing. You found a book for us, Miracle?
I'm trying to put it in the chat. It's not really working. But Amber Carr is someone who recently passed away. She was Atiana Jefferson's sister.
Yes.
And there's a conversation to be had about the impacts of death and police violence within communities. And there have been studies talking about like the weathering effect and how when death happens on a scale, not only does it harm the immediate families, but it increases stress and mental health issues within the Black community as well. And so there's this piece called "Let's Not Forget Weathering is Also Killing Black People" by Tanya, and we're going to put it in the chat. But just thinking to remember, as we lift up Amber and her family, that like these police officer killings kill more than just the person. And just think about prioritizing our own healing to make sure these things don't happen in the future.
Right, because I believe every member of our immediate family has passed away, since her death. So that's a great point, something that we should read, that we should think about as we move forward. So hopefully next week, maybe we'll be back together again. And, we might even have a big announcement. A big This Week in White Supremacy announcement coming next time we're all together. So with that being said, any final comments? You don't know the big announcement, Farouk? You don't know our big announcement? No. You wrote it on a Post-it note today.
Oh, I did.
You can't help everybody.
He's tired. He's jet lagged. With that being said, any last words, Trouble?
Never lose sight.
Come on, bro. We got to close out with that. Miracle?
Districts 32, 34, 35, Penn Hills, Wilkinsburg, Keysport. Y'all have an election on Tuesday, February 7th, 7 p.m. to 8 p.m. Please make sure if you're registered to vote, please make sure you go out and you vote.
Absolutely.
Oh, yeah. The East Coast Asian American Student Union and the Asian Pacific American Labor Alliance Pittsburgh will be having a rally at this Saturday from 1 to 3 at I can't remember, it's someplace in Larimer. I'll be speaking there. It's at the Global Wordsmith in Larimer. So if you're in the area, pull up. Yeah,
absolutely. So thank y'all, and we will see y'all next week. Until next time, we One Hood, y'all. You already know what it is. Peace. Be safe.